The census is defined around the world as a head count of the total number of people living in a government's area for purposes known to the government in the area. But generally, the head counts of the citizens are an effort made to know how many people the government is to cater for. The statistics so collected from the heads will let the government know how many males and females they have and what category of age they are in: sex, the old age category, the middle age category, and the youth category. After knowing all this, the government will now be able to formulate policies on where the revenue collected will be channeled. The history of the Nigerian census dates back to the 18th century, when in 1871 the census was conducted in certain areas, but the country Nigeria had not yet come into being. Another one came in 1891 and 1901, respectively, but all the head counts during this period were not acceptable to the general public in Nigeria. The census of northern Nigeria was conducted between May and July 1952, while that of West and Midwest were conducted in December 1952 and January 1953 respectively. Census in the East was conducted from May to August. 1953 was characterized by manipulations and category irregularities because of the hidden agenda of the colonial masters and favoritism in favor of certain sections of the country. Therefore, the census could not be acceptable as it was supposed to be. Subsequently, upon attaining independence in Nigeria, another population census was conducted, which was expected to be conducted genuinely and in a conducive atmosphere, but was also categorized as irregular because of the manipulations of the politicians. Because elections are a game of numbers, and the British colonials built the foundation upon which our political first runners were made to follow, Nigerians have never seen the good objective and benefits of population censuses. Past censuses were problematic. Population figures are the reason for appropriating assets to sub-public, state-run administrations. A result of a wrong enumeration is that preparation and projects to utilize these assets aren't founded on proof. Preferably, a census ought to be done every 10 years, yet it is challenging to support that in an economy like Nigeria's. The timing requires political will and a presidential decree. Naturally, it is directed by the National Population Commission. All past censuses in Nigeria were conducted in a climate full of political impediments. This was on the grounds that there was a motivating force to blow up populist figures. As individuals turned out to be more mindful of the significance of population size for political portrayal in a government framework, registration turned out to be more tricky. There was additionally a contest inside states and among networks to blow up their populace to get greater government assets. The first census was in 1911 and covered just a little piece of the country. The main cross-country statistics were published in 1921. It experienced insufficient staffing, and the public boycotted it since they figured it would prompt higher expenses. In southern Nigeria, the starter figures were changed upwards before the aftereffect of 8.4 million was distributed. The distributed figure for northern Nigeria was 10.4 million. The 1931 census was damaged by charge riots and an insect intrusion. The registration of 1941 couldn't be led due to the World War. The principal post-census statistics were directed in May 1962 by the Government Enumeration Office in the service of the financial turn of events. It was better coordinated, however. The temporary figure of 45.1 million showed that the southern districts consolidated had a higher population than the northern localities. This was questionable, especially from a political perspective. The 1962 census was dropped, and a recount was requested in 1963. Its administration was additionally removed from the Government Office of Statistics. A competent census board was set up, enumeration staff numbers expanded, and more assets were given. In any case, toward the end of the count, a population figure of 55.7 million was recorded, a distinction of almost 11 million. This led to a slight redistribution of power in favor of Western Nigeria. Eastern Nigeria and the Midwest lost 5 seats in parliament. This inversion prompted a shrill analysis of the 1963 outcomes. Politico-semantic competition blended until it detonated in the nationwide conflict of 1967–70, which crushed a large part of the southeast and began military rule in Nigeria. The 1973 census returned a total population of 79.8 million, with the North making up 64.4%, which was a subject of controversy. In 1989, the National Population Commission was established by military decree to coordinate the 1991 census in anticipation of the handover to a civilian regime. The military government reported that the 1991 census figures wouldn't be utilized for the impending decisions, consequently lessening the political pressure and the usual incentive to inflate population figures. The 1991 census published a complete population of 88.5 million, much lower than projections in view of the expanded 1963 census. The latest census in Nigeria was conducted in 2006 and was tormented by political impediments from planning through execution. The population gauge was 140 million individuals. The outcomes were reprimanded and dependent upon the case. The benefit of the census. In order to prepare for the supply of services like healthcare, education, and employment, the opportunities for the nation related to the value and benefit of population census. Despite the difficulties, there is room for improvement in Nigeria with regard to the population census and its benefits for the country as a whole. According to a well-known jingle, the Vatican City of Rome was not built in one day, and as we pass through all of these stages, we shall overcome them over time. As the next census approaches, communities should be engaged through entertainment and education. Furthermore, global and neighborhood screens ought to be involved at each stage to guarantee straightforwardness, responsibility, and quality. Thanks for watching. Kindly like and subscribe to our channel for more facts.